On Wednesday, November 8th, at my retirement party, my daughter-in-law slipped something into my champagne. I'm Deborah Vance. I'm 68 years old. I didn't scream. I didn't confront her. I simply switched glasses with her mother when no one was looking. Then I decided to find out exactly how much my life was worth to them. The house smelled like my mother's kitchen in Accra. Jollof rice competing with honey-glazed ham. Plantains sharing counter space with potato salad. 43 years in America, and I still couldn't host a party without making it a negotiation between two worlds. Mrs. Vance, this is incredible. My former VP, Michael Chen, raised his glass. $23 million. You built that company from nothing. I smiled the way I'd learned to smile in boardrooms where I was the only black woman, the only immigrant, the only person over 40. Warm enough to seem humble, cool enough to remind them I'd earned every penny. From $200 in a dream, I said, touching the rim of my champagne flute, the one with the chip on the edge. The one I'd kept for 40 years because my mother gave it to me the day I left Ghana. Even broken things can serve, she'd said in Twi. I never handed that glass to guests. Never. Which is why I noticed when Sienna Hayes Vance, my daughter-in-law of 3 years, picked it up from the kitchen counter at exactly 7:47 p.m. She was stunning in cream silk, her hair pulled back to show off the tennis bracelet Terrence, my son, had bought her last month. $18,000 worth of diamonds. I knew because the receipt had fallen out of his jacket pocket when I'd hung it up during his last visit. The same visit where he'd mentioned his architecture firm was restructuring. Code for drowning. Sienna held my chipped glass up to the light from the hallway, examining it. Her lips moved slightly, like she was counting something. Then she glanced toward the living room where Beverly Hayes, her mother, a retired nurse with sharp eyes and sharper opinions, was admiring the framed photos on my mantel. I watched from the kitchen doorway, half hidden by the angle. Watched as Sienna opened her small Chanel purse. The purse cost $4,000. I knew because she'd shown me the receipt, smiling that smile that said, "See how well your son takes care of me?" From inside the purse, she pulled out a tiny brown glass vial, the kind you see at natural remedy stores, the kind that usually says external use only in small print. My grandmother raised me on herbal medicine, taught me which plants heal and which plants kill. In Ghana, every child learns to recognize nkonkomalata, what Americans call monkshood, what scientists call aconite. Even from across the room, I recognized the amber color of the liquid as Sienna unscrewed the cap. 3 drops. She counted them as they fell into the champagne. 1, 2, 3. Then she screwed the cap back on, slipped the vial into her purse, and set my chipped glass carefully back on the counter, right next to the others, but slightly forward. Where I'd see it first when I reached for a drink, my pulse didn't spike. 43 years building a financial consulting firm teaches you to control your body when the numbers don't add up. And these numbers, a daughter-in-law poisoning a champagne glass at a retirement party with 43 witnesses, these numbers made no sense unless you worked backwards from the answer she wanted. She wanted me dead. No. She wanted me dead tonight, in front of everyone, looking like a heart attack or stroke. Natural causes for a 68-year-old woman who just sold her company and might be stressed. I stepped back into the hallway and thought. 7:50 p.m. Beverly was near the fireplace, talking to my attorney, Leon Barnes. Sienna was walking toward the living room, probably to establish an alibi away from the kitchen. Terrence was outside on the deck with his college roommate, laughing too loud the way he did when he was anxious. The toast was scheduled for 8 p.m., 12 minutes. I walked into the living room like a woman who'd just remembered to check on her guests, smiled at neighbors, accepted congratulations, made my way to Beverly. "Mrs. Hayes," I said warmly. We'd never been close. She thought Terrence had married down when he brought home an African immigrant's daughter, never mind that I was the one with the graduate degrees. "Would you help me in the kitchen? I can't reach the top shelf." "Of course, dear." She followed me, always eager to be needed. In the kitchen, I handed her a platter. "Could you take this to the dining room? And there's champagne on the counter. Would you mind bringing your glass? We're about to toast." Beverly picked up the glass closest to her, the one Sienna had prepared. My chipped glass. "This one?" she asked. "Perfect," I said. I picked up a clean flute from the back of the counter, poured from the same bottle Sienna had opened, testing, making sure the poison was in the glass, not the bottle. I had no intention of drinking mine either, but I needed to maintain appearances. Beverly walked toward the living room, my mother's chipped glass in her hand. I followed with my clean one. At 8 p.m., Michael called for attention. "A toast to Deborah Vance," Beverly sipped. 30 seconds later, her knees buckled. The glass fell from her hand, champagne and 40 years of memories shattering against my marble floor. Beverly's body jerked, foam appearing at the corners of her mouth. Her eyes rolled back. Someone screamed. I think it was Rachel Winters from Silver Pines residence, who'd somehow gotten an invitation to my party. Convenient. Terrence pushed through the crowd. "Call 911!" Sienna stood frozen, her face a perfect mask of shock, but I was watching her hands. They trembled, reaching toward her mother, then pulling back. Reaching, pulling back. She knew. I knelt beside Beverly, checked her pulse, weak but present, turned her on her side like my mother taught me. Recovery position. "Ambulance is coming," someone shouted. I looked up and found Sienna's eyes. For just a moment, our gazes locked. She knew I'd switched the glasses, and I knew she knew. But in a room full of 43 witnesses, with her mother convulsing on my floor, what could either of us say? The emergency room smelled like disinfectant and fear. I'd been here before, when my husband Gerald died 3 years ago. Heart attack at 65. Sudden, shocking. Or was it? The thought arrived unwelcome, but I couldn't shake it. Gerald had life insurance. $2 million. It had gone to me, then I'd given Terrence $500,000 to invest in the firm. That was 2 years ago, the same year Sienna opened her boutique. "Mrs. Vance?" A doctor approached, young enough to be my grandson. "Mrs. Hayes is stable. We're running toxicology, but it appears to be some kind of plant alkaloid poisoning." "Plant alkaloid," I repeated. "Monkshood, most likely. Aconite. It's not common, but—" He glanced at his chart. "Did she eat or drink anything unusual tonight?" "Just champagne at my house." I kept my voice steady. "The same bottle everyone drank from." "Interesting." He made a note. "We'll need to keep her overnight. The good news is she didn't ingest much. A few more sips and—" He didn't finish. Didn't need to. In the waiting room, Sienna sat with her head in her hands, the perfect image of a distraught daughter. Terrence paced, phone in hand. I sat across from them and opened my purse, pulled out my own phone. "Mom," Terrence said, his voice cracking. "What happened? Did Beverly eat something bad?" "I don't know, baby." I met his eyes. "But I'm going to find out." He looked away first. That's when I knew for certain my son was involved. Maybe not the poison, but something. The way he couldn't hold my gaze. The way his jaw tightened when I said find out. The way he'd suggested Silver Pines residence 3 times in the past month, always mentioning the $400,000 entrance fee. $400,000. The exact amount that would pay off his debts and save Sienna's boutique. I wasn't a detective, but I'd built a financial consulting firm by following money trails. And this trail led straight through my champagne glass to a nursing home with a price tag that matched my children's desperation. At 11:30 p.m., a nurse told us Beverly could have visitors. "Just family," she said. Sienna stood. So did Terrence. "I'll wait here," I said. "Give you privacy." After they disappeared down the hallway, I approached the nurse's station. "Excuse me," I said, using my boardroom voice, the one that got things done. "I'm Deborah Vance. I hosted the party where Mrs. Hayes collapsed. The doctor mentioned plant alkaloid poisoning. I'm deeply concerned about my other guests. Could you tell me, hypothetically, what substance we're dealing with? I need to check if I have any plants or herbs that might have contaminated the food." The nurse hesitated, then lowered her voice. "Between us? They found aconite, monkshood. It's a flowering plant, but—" she glanced around. "It's also sold as a tincture online for external use. Some people use it for muscle pain, but ingesting it is deadly. I finished. She nodded. I thanked her and returned to my seat. Pulled out my phone and opened a private browser. Searched. Aconite tincture buy online. 47 results. Most from herbal remedy sites with names like Nature's Apothecary and Holistic Health Direct. I clicked on the first one. Saw the product listing. Aconite tincture. External use. 200Z. $34.99. Then I saw the reviews. 5 stars. Fast shipping. 4 stars. Works great for pain. 1 star. Dangerous. Do not ingest. I screenshotted everything. Then I searched. Sienna Hayes Boutique order history. Nothing public, but I knew someone who could dig deeper. At midnight, I drove home alone. Terrence had offered to follow me. Make sure you're safe. I'd declined. The house was exactly as we'd left it. Party debris everywhere, champagne bottles lined up like evidence. I found the bottle Sienna had opened, still 3/4 full. I put on kitchen gloves, the kind I used for cleaning. Carefully poured the remaining champagne into a mason jar. Sealed it. Wrote the date on masking tape. November 8th, 2024. Then I placed it in the back of my garage freezer, behind the frozen okra and the turkey from last Thanksgiving. Evidence. I didn't know what I'd do with it yet. But 43 years in business taught me one thing. Document everything. It was 1 a.m. when I finally sat at my kitchen table with a legal pad and a pen. At the top of the page, I wrote, what I know. Then I made my list. 1. Sienna put something in my champagne. 7:47 p.m., November 8th. 2. Beverly drank it instead. 8 o'clock p.m. 3. Hospital confirmed aconite poisoning. 4. Aconite tinctures sold online. $34.99. 5. Terrence mentioned Silver Pines 3X in past month. 6. Silver Pines entrance fee. $400,000. 7. Terrence's debts. Unknown. Estimate $300,000 plus. 8. Sienna's boutique. Failing. Saw past due rent notice on her desk. June 2024. 9. Terrence couldn't look at me at Hospital 10. Rachel Winters, Silver Pines, at my party. Uninvited? Under that I wrote what I need. 1. Financial records. Terrence and Sienna. 2. Legal protection. Update will, power of attorney. 3. Evidence. Sienna's purchase history. 4. Allies. Lawyer, police, investigator. 5. Safety. They tried once. They'll try again. I looked at the list for a long time. Then at the bottom, I wrote one more line. They think I'm a helpless old woman. Good. Let them keep thinking that. I capped my pen and went to bed. Tomorrow, the investigation would begin. I woke at 6 a.m. to 17 missed calls. 12 from Terrence, 3 from Sienna, 2 from numbers I didn't recognize. I made Tangawizi tea, ginger root boiled with cloves, the way my mother taught me, and sat at the kitchen table. Outside, November rain drummed against the windows. Inside, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. At 6:45, Terrence's name lit up the screen again. I answered. Good morning, baby. Mom. His voice was rough, like he hadn't slept. How are you? Last night was, I can't even... Terrible, I agreed. How's Beverly? Stable. They're keeping her another day for observation. He paused. Mom, the doctors are saying it was poison. Some kind of plant thing. They're asking questions about what she ate, what she drank. I gave them the full menu when I called this morning. I lied smoothly. I hadn't called. Jollof rice, ham, plantains, potato salad, champagne from Whole Foods. Everything from the same batch we all ate. Another pause. Longer this time. Right, he said finally. Listen, Sienna and I were thinking, after everything last night, maybe it's time to talk seriously about Silver Pines. You're living alone in that big house. Anything could happen. Like poison in my champagne? The silence stretched for 3 full seconds. That's not what Mom, you know I just want you safe. I know what you want, I said quietly. I'll think about Silver Pines, but right now I need to rest. Last night was exhausting. Of course, we'll come by later. Bring lunch. No need. We insist. Noon? He hung up before I could refuse. I set the phone down and looked at my legal pad from last night. Added a new line. 11. Terrence pushing Silver Pines harder. Morning after poisoning. Why rush? At 7:30 a.m., I called Leon Barnes. Leon's office overlooked downtown Riverside. All glass and steel and expensive leather chairs that told clients he won cases. We'd known each other for 15 years. He'd handled my business contracts, Gerald's estate, Terrence's trust fund. Deborah. He stood when his secretary showed me in. I heard about Beverly Hayes. Terrible thing. Terrible, I agreed, sitting across from his mahogany desk. Leon, I need 3 things. Legal protection, a competency evaluation, and complete confidentiality. His eyebrows rose. Competency evaluation. Deborah, you're the sharpest person I know. Exactly. I need that documented. Officially. With a board-certified geriatric psychiatrist who has no connection to Silver Pines residents or anyone my son knows. Leon's expression shifted from confusion to understanding. He'd been a lawyer too long not to read between lines. How official? Court admissible. Notarized. Dated. I want a neuropsychological assessment that proves definitively that I'm of sound mind to manage my own affairs. He pulled out a legal pad, started writing. And the legal protection? Update my will, add a codicil, and draft a new power of attorney. But I want it limited. Very limited. No access to my primary accounts, my properties, or my investment portfolio. Who gets the limited POA? Nobody yet. But if someone tries to force one on me, I want a decoy ready. Something that looks legitimate but controls. I paused, calculated. $100. Leon's pen stopped moving. You think someone's going to try to take control of your finances. I think someone already tried to kill me and got her mother instead. I told him everything. The champagne glass, the vial, the hospital, Terrence's phone call this morning. When I finished, Leon leaned back in his chair. We need a detective. I need an investigator first. Someone who can trace online purchases, access financial records that aren't public. I know someone. He picked up his phone. Julia Kim, former FBI cybercrimes. Now she does private work. Expensive, but money isn't the issue. He made the call. At 2 p.m., I met Julia Kim at a coffee shop in Morristown. She was 38, Korean-American, with sharp eyes and a laptop bag that probably cost more than most people's rent. Mr. Barnes briefed me, she said, ordering an Americano without looking at the menu. You think your daughter-in-law tried to poison you? I know she did. I need proof of purchase. Julia opened her laptop. Name? Sienna Marie Hayes Vance. Birthday November 3rd, 1989. Lives at 847 Maple Street, Riverside. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Business owner? Boutique. Sienna's Closet on Washington Avenue. Opened March 2022. More typing. Then Julia's expression changed. What? She's hemorrhaging money. The boutique shows monthly revenue of $4,000 to $6,000, but her rent alone is $4,500. She's got 3 credit cards maxed out. Total debt $73,812. My chest tightened. $73,000. Specific. Real. And her husband? Terrence Malcolm Vance, architecture firm Vance & Associates. Filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in August 2024. Total business debt. She scrolled. $321,400. $321,000. Add Sienna's $73,000. Total $394,000. $6,000 short of Silver Pine's entrance fee. They're drowning, I said quietly. Drowning people grab at anything. Julia clicked through more screens. Now about that aconite purchase. If she bought it online, there'll be a digital trail. Email confirmation, IP address, shipping record. But I need access to her accounts. She uses her boutique computer for personal emails. I've seen her. Perfect. What's the boutique's Wi-Fi name? I thought back to the one time I'd visited. Sienna's closet guest. Easy password? Her birthday. She uses it for everything. Julia smiled. Give me 24 hours. At 4 p.m., I sat in Dr. Raymond Chen's office, the geriatric psychiatrist Leon had recommended. Board certified. No connection to Silver Pines. 40 years of experience. For 90 minutes, he tested me. Clock drawing, list recall, executive function, pattern recognition, problem solving. I answered every question, drew every clock, recalled every word on the list, even the ones he hadn't expected me to remember. At 5:30, he signed the assessment report. Mrs. Vance, Dr. Chen said, handing me the notarized document, your cognitive function is exceptional. If anyone questions your competency, show them this. Score, 98th percentile for your age group. That's better than most 50-year-olds. I folded the report carefully, put it in my purse. Thank you, doctor. May I ask, why did you need this? Because I'm 68, Black, and a widow with money. Someone's going to try to say I can't manage my own affairs. Now I have proof they're wrong. He nodded slowly. Good luck, Mrs. Vance. When I got home at 6 p.m., Terrence's SUV was in my driveway. They were early. I found them in my kitchen. Sienna unpacking takeout containers. Terrence making coffee like he owned the place. Like his wife hadn't tried to murder me 18 hours ago. Mom! Terrence hugged me. I let him, but I was watching Sienna over his shoulder. She smiled. Perfect. Practiced. Deborah, we brought dinner. You must be exhausted. Thoughtful, I said. They said. Sienna set out 3 plates. How was your day? We were worried. Busy. Doctor's appointment, lawyer's office, errands. Doctor? Terrence's voice sharpened. Are you okay? Fine. Just a checkup. I didn't mention Dr. Chen's report in my purse. And I met with Leon about updating my will. Sienna's hand froze halfway to a fork. Your will? Terrence asked carefully. After last night, seeing Beverly collapse, it reminded me I'm not getting younger. I should have everything in order. I let the silence stretch. Watch them watch me. That's smart, Sienna said finally. Very smart. Actually, we wanted to talk to you about something similar. Here it comes. Terrence pulled papers from his messenger bag. Silver Pines residence. We went by today, met with their admissions coordinator, Rachel Winters. She was at your party. I remember. They have an opening, but it's competitive. We'd need to move fast. He spread the brochures across my table. $400,000 entrance fee. Fully refundable if you ever want to leave. But, he glanced at Sienna. But they need a financial representative on file, Sienna finished. Someone who can handle transactions while you settle in. It's standard procedure. A power of attorney, I said. Exactly. Terrence pulled out another form. Just temporary. Just for the transition. I picked up the form, read it slowly. Durable power of attorney. Complete financial authority. Effective immediately. No expiration date. This gives you complete control of everything I own. Well, yes, but no. Sienna's smile tightened. Deborah, we're only trying to help. I said no. I set the form down. However, I had Leon draft something more appropriate. I pulled out the decoy power of attorney, the one that looked official, the one that controlled exactly $100 in an account they didn't know existed. This limits authority to emergency medical decisions and a specific account for incidental expenses. If Silver Pines needs a financial representative, this will satisfy their requirements. Terrence scanned the document. He didn't read carefully, didn't see paragraph 4, the one that limited everything. This could work, he said. I'll think about it, I said. But I'm not signing anything tonight. I need time. After they left, disappointed but trying not to show it, I did 3 things. First, I opened a new checking account at Riverside Community Bank, deposited $100, account number 4821. Second, I drafted a fake username and password on a sheet of paper. Username Devance Finances, password Accra 1956. I tucked it inside an old pastry box from Terrence's last visit, the one still sitting on my counter. Third, I set up a honey token email, a fake address that would alert me the moment anyone tried to access it. Then I left the pastry box on my kitchen desk, slightly open, the paper visible inside, and I waited. At 11:47 p.m., my phone chimed. Alert. Login attempt detected. Devance Finance's IP address, 192.168.1.47, Sienna's Closet Tick Guest Wi-Fi. Device, iPad Pro. I sat up in bed watching the alerts come in real time. 11:48 p.m. Transfer attempt. 4,800, denied. Daily limit exceeded. 11:52 p.m. Password change attempt. Failed. Security question incorrect. 12:03 a.m. Login attempt from iPhone 14 Pro Terrence's phone. 12:04 a.m. Transfer attempt. 4,800 denied. Fraud alert triggered. I screenshot everything. Sent it to Julia Kim with a message. They took the bait. Can you preserve the logs? Her response came 90 seconds later. Already done. Also found the aconite purchase. Sending full report in AM. I set my phone down and smiled in the darkness. Let them think they were winning. Let them think I was a confused old woman who left passwords in pastry boxes. Tomorrow I'd call Detective Patricia Reynolds. And then the real trap would close. Monday, November 20th. 12 days after the poisoning, I wore my Navy power suit, the one I'd worn to close the $23 million sale. Terrence and Sienna met me at Riverside Community Bank at 1 p.m., exactly as planned. Rachel Winters from Silver Pines was already there, clutching her admissions folder like a life preserver. She smiled when she saw us. Mrs. Vance, so wonderful that you're moving forward with this. Let's see how it goes, I said. Inside, Gloria Ortiz, the branch manager and Leon's college roommate, greeted us professionally. Right this way. She led us to a glass-walled office. Through the window, I could see Detective Patricia Reynolds in civilian clothes, pretending to fill out a deposit slip. Next to her, a woman in a gray blazer I didn't recognize. DA's fraud investigator, according to Leon's text. Now, Gloria said, settling behind her desk, you mentioned needing a cashier's check for Silver Pine's entrance fee? $400,000, Rachel said brightly, to secure Mrs. Vance's placement. Of course. Gloria turned to me. Mrs. Vance, which account should we draw from? Sienna leaned forward, sliding the decoy power of attorney across the desk. We have authorization to act on Deborah's behalf. I still need Mrs. Vance to confirm the source account, Gloria said smoothly. My primary checking, Sienna said. We can handle the account ending in 4821, I said clearly. Gloria typed, clicked. Her expression remained neutral. I see the account. Current balance, $100. The office went silent. What? Sienna's voice cracked. That's impossible. Transfer from her main account. This power of attorney, Gloria said, picking up the document, specifically limits authority to account 4821. It grants no access to other accounts, properties, or assets. But she signed, Terrence started. I signed a limited POA, I said calmly, the kind my lawyer recommended for elderly clients who want protection from financial exploitation. Sienna's face went white, then red. You tricked us. No, said a voice from the doorway. Detective Patricia Reynolds stepped into the office, badge visible. She protected herself, which she had to do because you tried to poison her. Rachel Winters made a small noise and pressed herself against the wall. I don't know what you're talking about, Sienna said, but her voice shook. Detective Pat pulled out a folder. November 8th, 7:47 p.m. p.m. You removed a vial of aconite tincture from your Chanel purse and added 3 drops to a champagne glass. We have witness testimony. We have the hospital toxicology report showing your mother ingested aconite, and she opened the folder. We have your purchase record. She laid out the first document. An order confirmation from naturesapothecary.com. Order A847392. Date, October 15th, 2024. Item, aconite tincture, 2OZ. Price, $34.99. Shipping, P.O. Box, 1847, Riverside, NJ, Build 2, Sienna's Closet Business Account. That's for the boutique, Sienna whispered. For muscle pain cream. External use. Detective Pat laid out the second document. Search history from Sienna's Closet Guest Wi-Fi. October 18th, 2024, 11:42 p.m. Aconite solubility in alcohol. Monkshood lethal dose adult female. How to mask bitter taste champagne. Still external use? Pat asked. The third document. Bank fraud alerts. November 8th, 2024, 11:47 p.m. Unauthorized access attempt. Account. 4821 IP 192.168.147. Sienna's Closet to guest. Device. iPad Pro registered to Sienna M. Hayes Vance, November 9th, 2024, 12:03 a.m. Access attempt from iPhone 14 Pro, registered to Terrence M. Vance. Terrence stood abruptly. Mom, I thought it was just what? I asked quietly. Just fraud? Just stealing from your mother after your wife tried to kill her? We were desperate, Sienna said, and suddenly she was crying. Real tears this time. The boutique, Terrence's firm, we owe $394,000. Vincent Hale said if we didn't pay by November 30th, he'd take everything. The house, the cars, the business. So you decided to take my everything instead. The DA investigator stepped forward. Sienna Marie Hayes Vance, you're under arrest for attempted murder, attempted grand larceny, identity theft, and unauthorized access to financial accounts. Wait, Sienna reached for Terrence. Tell them you didn't know about the poison. But Terrence was looking at me, just looking. His face said everything his mouth couldn't. I knew something. Not poison, maybe, but something. Detective Pat cuffed Sienna gently. Read her rights in that calm voice that made handcuffs sound almost polite. Terrence, Pat said, you're not under arrest, but I'd like you to come to the station voluntarily, answer some questions. He nodded. Mute. As they led Sienna out, she turned back to me. You did this. You set me up. No, I said. I protected myself. You put poison in my house. The glass door closed between us. Rachel Winters was already gone, fled sometime during the arrest, probably worried about Silver Pine's liability. Gloria Ortiz handed me the $100 cashier's check. Your receipt, Mrs. Vance. I took it, looked at the amount, laughed, short and sharp. Something funny? Gloria asked. I just bought my life back for $100. Friday, December 15th. Preliminary hearing. The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, a dozen people in the gallery, mostly journalists who'd heard about the retirement party poisoning. Sienna sat at the defense table in a modest blue dress, hair pulled back, makeup minimal. Her lawyer wore a loud tie and an expression that said he knew he was losing. I sat in the front row with Leon. Beverly was 3 seats down, recovered, clear-headed, and furious with her daughter. Judge Melissa Torres entered. Latina, mid-50s, with the kind of face that had seen every excuse and believed none of them. The state versus Sienna Marie Hayes Vance, the bailiff announced. The DA, Anaka Patel, the woman from the bank, stood. Your Honor, the state presents overwhelming evidence of premeditated attempted murder. She laid it out methodically. The online order, the search history, the hospital report, the bank fraud, the boutique security footage showing Sienna receiving a package on October 19th. Brown paper, small enough to be a vial. Then she called Beverly Hayes. Beverly walked to the stand like a woman who'd aged 10 years in a month, swore on the Bible, sat. Mrs. Hayes, Anaka said gently, on November 8th, before the party, did you hear your daughter and son-in-law discussing anything unusual? Beverly's voice was steady. I was in the back seat. They thought I was asleep. Terrence said, she closed her eyes. Use the chipped one so she thinks it's hers. Sienna said, I've got it. The chipped glass, Anaka clarified. Yes. Mrs. Vance always used a champagne flute with a chip on the rim. Everyone knew. That's how they targeted her. Sienna's lawyer objected. Hearsay, circumstantial. Judge Torres overruled. The witness is testifying to what she directly heard. Continue. Beverly pulled out her phone. I also photographed this in Sienna's purse while she was in the bathroom at the party. The photo appeared on the courtroom screen. A brown glass vial with a white label, aconite tincture, external use only, naturesapothecary.com. The courtroom murmured. Why did you take this photo? Annika asked. Because I listen to true crime podcasts, Beverly said. They always say document everything. I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Turns out I wasn't paranoid enough. After Beverly stepped down, Annika called Detective Reynolds. Pat testified about the bottle in my freezer, still champagne positive for aconite, about the IP addresses, about Sienna's statement at booking. I just wanted to scare her. Scare her with poison? Pat had asked. Sienna had gone silent after that. Finally, Judge Torres looked at me. Mrs. Vance, would you like to make a statement? I stood. Leon had asked if I wanted to prepare remarks. I'd said no. Some things you have to say from the heart. Your Honor, I'm 68 years old. I came to this country from Ghana with $200 and a dream. I built a business. I raised a son. I kept a champagne glass my mother gave me, chipped, imperfect, to remind me that broken things still have purpose. My daughter-in-law saw that glass and decided it made me vulnerable. She was wrong. This isn't just about me. It's about every elderly person whose family sees dollar signs instead of a human being. Every widow told she can't manage her own money. Every immigrant dismissed because of an accent. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here because at 68, I'm still sharp enough to recognize poison when I see it, literal and figurative. And I'm here to say, age doesn't make us weak. It makes us wise enough to see danger coming. I sat down. The courtroom was silent. Judge Torres took off her glasses. Mrs. Hayes Vance, attempted murder is not desperation. It's depravity. Bail revoked. Remanded to custody pending trial. Protective order issued for Mrs. Vance. Trial date set for April 2025. The gavel fell. Sienna crumpled. Her lawyer caught her elbow. Terrence, who'd been sitting in the back, stood and walked out without looking at anyone. June 2025. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Sienna was convicted on all counts. Sentenced to 7 years, eligible for parole in 5. Terrence pleaded guilty to conspiracy, a reduced charge for his cooperation. 2 years probation, 500 hours community service. He sold the house, paid Vincent Hale, and moved to a studio apartment in Newark. We haven't spoken since February, but this morning a letter arrived. Handwritten, postmarked Newark. Mom, I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know I'm working. Not architecture, just construction. Honest work. Paycheck to paycheck. I measure my days in hours now, not dollars. Sleep comes easier. One day, maybe I'll be someone you'd be proud to know again. Until then, I'll keep trying. I folded the letter carefully, placed it on my kitchen table next to my mother's chipped glass. Maybe one day. At 2 p.m., I stood at the podium in the Riverside Community Center. 15 scholarship recipients sat in the front row, all Black women, all immigrants, all starting businesses with help from the Chipped Glass Scholarship Fund. $100,000 per year. 10 recipients. Funded by my sale, managed by Leon, overseen by Beverly Hayes, who'd become my unlikely best friend. They told me I was too old to matter, I said to the crowd, that my money made me a target, not a person. They were wrong. This scholarship isn't about me. It's about every woman who's been underestimated because of age, race, or accent. We're not fragile. We're forged. The applause was warm, real. Afterward, Detective Pat approached. Beautiful speech. Thank you for everything, Pat. Just doing my job. She paused. Your son's been showing up at NA meetings. Narcotics Anonymous. Did you know? I didn't. He's trying. Pat said. Doesn't erase what he did, but he's trying. That evening, I sat on my back porch with Tangawizi tea and Beverly. Do you miss them? She asked. Sienna? No. Terrence? I looked at the garden. I miss who I thought he was, but that person might never have existed. He existed, Beverly said quietly. He just got lost. We sat in comfortable silence, watching the sun set over Riverside. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mrs. Vance, this is Aisha Mensa, scholarship recipient. I just signed my first client. Thank you for believing in us. I showed Beverly. She smiled. You know what my mother used to say? I asked. What? Even broken things can serve. I thought she meant the glass, but she meant me. All of us. We get chipped by life, betrayal, loss, age, but we don't become worthless. We become witnesses. Witnesses to what? To the fact that survival isn't the same as victory. Survival is just not dying. Victory is choosing what kind of life you build after someone tries to destroy you. Beverly raised her tea mug. To witnesses. I touched my mother's chipped glass to her mug. The sound was soft, imperfect, and exactly right. To witnesses, I echoed. And to knowing our worth, even when the world forgets. The sun disappeared behind the trees. The garden grew quiet. I was 68 years old, alive and free. That was victory enough. 1 year later, Terrence sent a photo, him in a hard hat, building affordable housing in Newark. The caption, honest work. I didn't reply, but I saved the photo. Some doors stay closed. Others open slowly, carefully, only when trust is earned again, inch by painful inch. I'm still deciding which door this is, but I'm not deciding from fear anymore. I'm deciding from strength.